Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome once again to another of my live streams. Once again, you may recognize him from earlier. I have in the studio, virtual studio, Chris Gilsenan of Root Home, a property investor who specializes in HMOs and such like, preparing them, filling them with people with good paying tenants, and then selling the lot on to investors. But we weekly have a discussion about really what's grinding Chris's gears. And one of the things that came up earlier in the property quorum, shameless plug, 10 o'clock every Thursday, please come along and listen to 4 or 5 experts, not including me, sorry, 4 experts, I should say, chatting about various aspects of the property market and its shenanigans. The thing that I mentioned right at the end, and Chris was really interested in talking about, was property scam training. That I use these words advisedly, so if you want to shout at me, go for it. Have a go at me in the comments. I don't care. But there are a lot of them, are there not, Chris?
There's an insane amount of them. Yeah. So I
and,
think
and they're promising the world and everything in it, are they not?
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, yeah. Be financially free in 6 months. Just give me £10,000. Yeah, there's loads of them, especially on Instagram. It would appear.
Now, but the interesting thing is, and I hate to bring this up, but I'm going to out him. Chris got his start all that time ago through a property trading scam, if you want to call it that, in as much as the training that he managed to glean from within it provided the core of what makes him a successful developer today. Would that be fair?
I did go through a property training funnel. Yeah, absolutely. Many years ago. So I got sucked into one when it was direct mail at the time. So we
that, by the way, that dates him a little bit. But okay, moving on.
Well, we still use direct mail, but that's a different conversation if you want to talk about lead generation. But yeah, the chap called Russ Whitney brought it over from the States. All sorts of different property investment or real estate investment strategies about how you can go and buy houses and the different things that you can do in the world of property. How you can buy, funnily enough, no money down deals, that type of thing. Yeah. So loads and loads of different things, including options as well. They brought over specialists.
So that's where you learned about options all that time ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you mentioned that it was originally an American concept.
Well, I think it'd been. I don't think it's an American concept. It's been around for centuries in the British in the commercial sector. They were using it there, however, in a residential capacity, which it hadn't been done over here. So
that was where the novelty was. The fact that they were crossing over.
That's right.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, we got sucked into a direct mail about talking about how you don't need money to buy property. So that was the original hook. And then we went along to a 2-hour seminar at Crew Hall, and the speaker, can't remember who he was now.
Did that cost to go to that seminar? Or was that a free thing?
No. That's the free part of the funnel.
Right.
We were listening to him, and he was talking about Robert Kiyosaki, the Mr. Rich Dad Poor Dad, and we just got incredible concepts behind it, and talking about how yes, you probably do need money to get into property, but it doesn't have to be yours. They're talking about concepts like leverage, and leverage and gearing, basically using the bank's money to scale your portfolios, things like that. And it was a further lead on to, well, come and spend 3 days with us, and we'll teach you everything you need to know. Well, really, it's just surface level of everything you need to know. You're falling deeper into the training funnel at that point.
So what they do is they whetted your appetite.
They sure did. Yeah.
And then they said to learn the rest will be somewhere between 10 and 25,000 pounds.
Well, no, that's when you got to the 3 day. That's partway through the 3-day training. Then they give you that bombshell, because obviously they can't tell you everything you need to know about property in 3 days. But it certainly is an eye-opening experience. And I know people who've gone to those 3 days, move forwards like I did, loads of people. And I know people who have gone to those 3 days and not moved forwards, and I've met up with them, and they've still done wonderful things. I know people who have gone to those 3 days and moved forwards and spent the 10 to 25 grand and done F all with it, which is terrifying. Yeah.
Are there lots of those?
I couldn't tell you the numbers.
But more than one, I guess.
I could look at the people, obviously being involved in those advanced networks, further along, and as time goes by, you see the people who are active, are putting it into practice. You bump into them when you're out doing viewings and things like that. It's like, oh, I know you. But it doesn't happen all the time, and it's quite a marked difference between, well, all the faces that you saw at one level versus all the faces that are at a different level. So it's interesting. But they're not all a scam. Is the short answer. However, there are a lot of people talking a lot of rubbish on social media.
Would you say the vast majority of the stuff that's out there is trying to ensnare you into situations or schemes that won't necessarily deliver what you think they'll deliver? Is that fair?
Well, I mean, all marketing's designed to do that, right?
No. As a marketeer, I would say it's trying to draw your attention to the positives and perhaps dull the attention on the negatives.
Yeah. Okay. I'll accept that.
Well, I'm a marketeer. I have to say that. But the truth of the matter is, using your own schemes as a case in point, they're not easy. Otherwise, everybody would be doing them. But there are techniques and skills that you've gained over the years that's enabled you to do this, rinse and repeat, and gain your clients, your investors, dare I say it, a return.
Yeah. You're effectively building a business from scratch. So they're giving you the tools not just to build your business and how to set that up, but also those specific niches that you need to know, those different strategies in your toolbox, so you can actually go out there and construct deals, because it's not easy. And you're right. If it was, everyone would be doing it.
But I was reading up very quickly the story of Danny Butcher, featured on BBC Inside Out, so I know I can talk about it, which aired on the 20th of January 2020. A former soldier, recently married and a father. He took his own life on the 27th of October 2019 through the suffering and debt caused by manipulative and abusive marketing tactics, caused by what was a wealth creation property training company.
Yeah.
So there are plenty out there, right?
There are loads of people out there. I mean, it's a horrible thing that happened to him. There are lots of industries that will gladly try and take advantage of you. It's just this particular individual went for one that's, again, property. It's all high value stuff. So yes, you can get financially free, going down a path of building a property business, building a business around property and real estate. That is a fact. But don't kid yourself. It is hard, and you need the right people to be showing you how to do it. And it's possible that he did not have the right people around him, and also it sounds like they were using highly manipulative tactics to extract money from their clients and prospects. So yeah, a really bad combination.
Well, the way you describe it, back in those good old days when you were in that hall with your ears pricked up, listening to how you could be financially free, etc., that is a form of manipulation.
Completely.
I mean, joking aside, marketing is all about making you focus on all the good bits and ignoring the bad bits. So he was just in a more virulent, mucky version of that, right?
It would seem so. Yeah. There are there are manipulative tactics at play in any sales process. Most people are quite acutely aware of what's being done to them. There are some much more subtle NLP techniques that are also thrown into the mix, as well as playing on people's basic instincts.
Right.
Greed being one, fear of debt being another, balancing one against the other, and showing them that there is opportunity and hope. Yeah, it's all a powerful mix of emotions, and that's kind of what leads us to make purchase decisions. Although we'll try and rationalize it after the fact, using reasoning, but that's not how we operate. We're emotional beings, emotional creatures, and that's a huge driving force in the actions that we take. It's really important, I'd say, to do your due diligence, to do your research on the people who are making these claims. If someone's marketing and asking you for a 10 grand investment and it's going to give you X, Y, and Z, are they doing it? Are they actually doing what you want to learn? Can they demonstrate and prove through records and everything else that
Right.
they've achieved what they say they have, and are pitching that they can also help you achieve that?
So, in other words, are they singing from the same hymn book? Have they actually done it, or are they just talking about a potential that they think they've conjured up out of thin air?
Yeah, what's the buzzword that Facebook likes to use? Authenticity. It's really
It's not just Facebook. I use it as well, you know.
It's integrity and credibility. Do these people have integrity and credibility in what they're preaching? Can it be evidenced?
Joking aside, if I can use LinkedIn as an example, have you noticed the new verification system that's in there?
I've spotted it.
Right. It's purely in reaction to the fact that loads of people are masquerading as things they ain't.
Hmm.
You
I'm
know,
not sure how giving your passport to LinkedIn is going to help resolve that.
It's not linking it. What they do is they scan it and prove it's you, and then discard. I did check, but even so, yeah, I know it sounds over the top. All they're trying to do is prove that the person who owns that account is a real person, not a drone, not a robot, not a not something out there to ensnare.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I think in the new age of AI, I suppose I can see why they're thinking that.
Well, I've already been approached in the last couple of weeks by people who obviously have not read my profile at all, offering to get me leads.
Brilliant.
But you see what I mean? It's obviously not a person.
Yeah.
It's a software bot or an AI. I don't like to call them AI. I don't think they're clever enough to be AI. I think they're just basic software bots that see, fodder. Let's give them random name, random whatever it is, set them up, and then let them go and see if they can gather any more.
Yeah.
This is the age we live in, I guess. But the problem is, even if they are real people, you're still not entirely sure whether they're selling snake oil or not.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the problem with these property scams, because there's a huge urge in the nation right now to try and get on the property ladder. And at the same time, there's also a huge sorrow that most people feel that unless they're related to someone wealthy who's going to pass on and leave them a big wedge, they're never going to be able to start it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the long and short of it, isn't it?
I get that there's a huge amount of desperation for people wanting to change their circumstance.
They want to change their stars. That's the deal.
That's fair. And yeah, you should be looking at exploring different avenues. There are only a few avenues to, I hate to say it's like wealth and riches, but financial freedom, just basic financial freedom, and not being a slave to the job. It's stocks, bonds, assets, property being an asset, precious metals, crypto. Now there's only a few, and obviously building your own business. That gets you out of the day job. That gets you out of the out of the rat race and being reliant on other people. That's the path. There are really no shortcuts other than paying for education and putting a price on that. I did. I put a chunky price on my education, and yeah, it paid off after having applied myself as well.
I just
Anyone
think
can do
people
that.
don't. I don't think people adequately cost out how much relevant education will cost.
I think it's hard to gauge it. I mean,
Yeah, but
to
it's not going to be
contribute,
500 or 1,000, and it's
yeah.
unlikely to be 5,000. It's probably going to be in the tens.
If I look back on all the investment that I placed over the span of my business, since my initial investment, I'm
Give
probably
us
into
give us
six
a
figures.
timeline on that, so the public know what we're talking about. How long since
So
the inception of Root?
it's about we're, you're talking around about 2005, six. I was starting to get serious about
Okay,
getting
okay.
trained.
So we're talking about 15 to 18 years, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
So
And and, you weren't financially free by the end of the first year, were you?
no, I got into debt do those first leaps. So yeah,
Right.
there's definitely an element of risk there. So
And you have to be prepared for that, I guess.
my perspective was, well, if I'm in the hole, I'm going to do it. If I'm spending this money, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it work. That's my point of view.
I mean, forgive me for pinning you down. Are we talking 15, 18,000 in the hole?
Over the whole span,
No, no. I
or
mean,
the
initially,
initial,
when you started through this, what was it called? This property training thing?
it was originally brought over by a chap called Russ Whitney. It's Whitney, and
Right.
then it morphed into different brands and names. As
Okay,
it
so guys, if you're listening, look up Russ Whitney. I'm sure you'll be able to join the dots from there. We're not in any way recommending, and we're not giving you advice. We are talking about what historically happened,
Hmm,
and for you to keep your eyes open, not just at the one and say, well, maybe this isn't a scam. Maybe it is, but you need to keep your eyes open and your wits about you, for goodness
yeah.
sake.
It's also changed massively in terms of the delivery now. So there there are different organisations. There are better organisations that out there, which I can quite happily give people a referral to if they want to find
Yeah,
out
so
more.
if you contact
Um,
Chris, I'm sure he'll furnish you with a referral to them if you want to get started in some
yeah,
way.
and
But yeah,
the models changed in terms of the delivery of that education, that training now. So yeah, there are better, snappier, more on it teams that can help you in a much more focused way than than I went through. So yeah, there's huge opportunity out there. Please do your research. Yeah, there's plenty of people. There are so many sharks in this industry, and the property training industry as well. It's rife with them. But if they're not prepared
well,
to
in the
evidence their
example I was
claim,
just reading earlier, they took to 18,000 from Danny, which he put on credit cards and loans, which is why I said 18,000.
yeah, yeah.
Um, they promised one-to-one training. What they gave him was membership of a WhatsApp and Facebook group.
Oh, that's appalling.
And when Danny and other members raised concerns, they kicked them from the groups.
Yeah, that's basically fraud. So there should be advanced investigations into that, criminal investigations, in my view. Yeah, that's just defrauding people.
Oh, yeah. The tactics used in this particular case, they encouraged members of these groups to quit their jobs so they could focus on this.
Without having any income. But
Yes,
again, there should be a balance. You try and build one up as you're scaling the other one down. You don't just
it's nuts. Um, So yeah, by the way, if anybody's interested, there's a petition, change.org, which is called Parliament Regulations of the Property Investment Training Sector. You might want to read up on that. The full information about Danny and his unfortunate downfall is there. He was blameless really in this, and there'll be thousands more. So I say to you once again, before we wrap this up, please keep your eyes open and try and monitor. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is not true. You do not. I mean, Chris had to get into debt for a good while before he managed to pull through, and now he's doing brilliantly. And more power to him. But you do credit this training system with some of the knowledge that made you successful. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd probably be in a different industry now if it wasn't for the training and commitment that I made back then. Mm-hmm.
But and when you get to that point where I wouldn't say it's second nature, but the knowledge is just there, it becomes easy, if not enjoyable, right? The process.
It takes time. It's not necessarily easy. It's more simplified once you understand it. But you are building a business, so it's just not going to happen overnight.
Okay.
Just not.
And with those sage words ringing in your ears, thank you once again, Chris, for helping educate me and hopefully by proxy other people. And I implore you guys, follow us. We do this regularly every Thursday, usually in the same day as Property Quorum, which happens at 10 o'clock, shameless plug. Please do come along to both. Chris will feature in both. And our mission, I say in both, is quite similar, which is to help you guys understand what really goes on and what options there are that you might consider. I mean, it has to be said, this session with Chris is more about what's irritating him in the property industry this week, but certainly in Property Quorum, we toss around ideas. I mean, even today we were coming up with Chris brought to the table concepts that other people found astounding that they hadn't really thought of employing to as great a degree. So I think it's worthwhile listening to. So until next week, I wish all of you successful trading and whatever you're doing, and of course, good mental health. Bye-bye now.